No, no.
Yeah, he was on it for years. But he.
A lot.
Tracy.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our council meeting of April 16th. I'll ask our CAO for the roll call, please.
Thank you very much. So we'll start with the chair, Deputy Mayor Sanderson,
Present.
Mayor Blair,
Present.
Councilor Weatherby,
Present.
Councilor Richardson,
Present.
Councilor Cooper, Councilor Johnson, Councilor Leggett, Councilor Martell,
Present.
Councilor Patton,
Present.
Councilor Benoit, Councilor Fletcher,
Present.
Councilor Kennedy.
Present.
Have a quorum.
Thank you. And at this point in time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Mayor Blair for her remarks, please.
Good evening, everyone. On April 18 and 19, 2020, Nova Scotia and Canada were shocked by the events of Canada's largest intended mass shooting. It took place over 13 hours, affecting several rural communities in 4 municipalities. 15 plus an unborn child were senselessly killed in Colchester County. 4 in Wentworth, Cumberland County, 1 in Shubenacadie and 2 in Milford, East Hants. A rampage that left 22 people and 1 unborn child dead. Families, neighbors, and communities, lives forever changed by the violent acts of 1 man impersonating a trusted police officer, a representative of law enforcement and community security, and using a replica police car. This depraved individual left widespread trauma and grief. The pain further exacerbated by the Mass Casualty Commission seeking hard truths and answers in an extremely complex matter. The mass casualty created profound grief to those most impacted. And now, 6 years later, we continue to remember the far-reaching effects of this tragedy. Today, we remember Tom Bagley, Kristen Beaton and her unborn child, Greg Blair and Jamie Blair, Joy Bond and Peter Bond, Lillian Campbell, Corey Ellison, Gina Goulet, Don Goulenchen and Frank Goulenchen, Alana Jenkins and Sean McLeod, Lisa McCulley, Heather O'Brien, Jolene Oliver, Aaron Tuck, and Emily Tuck, Constable Heidi Stevenson, E. Joanne Thomas and John Zoll, Joey Weber. Please join me in a moment of silence. We also remember those who have been lost in the years since April 2020, who were deeply affected by these events. We turn our thoughts to those who continue to experience these impacts, both physical and psychological, in the years that have passed. We extend our deepest sympathies to all those who have been impacted by the mass casualty, and our gratitude to those who continue to advocate for change, to make our communities safer, and to restore our sense of security. Colchester County flags will fly at half-mast for the next week. We will always remember.
In peace and in friendship and in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, I acknowledge that the Municipality of Colchester is in Mi'kma'ki, the unceded and traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq. You have an agenda before you. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? If not, I have a motion to approve. Moved by Councillor Patton, seconded by Councillor Cooper. All in favor, say aye. Contrary minded? Motion carries. Thank you. We have minutes of our March 3rd and our March 12th meetings. Are there any corrections to be made to those minutes? Any picked up on? Are you good to go? I have a motion to approve by Councillor Patton, seconded by Councillor Kennedy. All in favor, say aye. Contrary minded, nay. The motion carries. Thank you. Is there any business arising from those minutes? Not seeing any hands, so we'll move along then to our first action item. And it's the new personnel policy, 5.14, personal use of social media policy. And Kelly, our HR director, will address this, please.
Good evening. Currently, employee social media use is only regulated as it pertains to use through municipal accounts or on municipal devices. There's no document that covers conduct on personal accounts by employees. The creation of a personal use of social media policy for staff is required to enforce a basic standard of conduct for employees as they post and interact with online content. The intention of this policy is to prevent employees from inappropriately posting about matters or people related to the municipality, including municipal elections, council decisions, members of council, and other staff members. We have already seen a need for this type of policy. Situations have occurred with employee posts being made online referencing specific people and decisions from the workplace in a way that risks reputational harm to the municipality. From a human resources perspective, these staff situations are very difficult to manage without a documented policy. There have also been questions and concerns raised by staff around what is appropriate, and this policy will help to clarify. This policy is not just needed, but is reasonable. Employees are being asked to refrain from using social media in a way that conflicts with their role as a government employee. All other types of online expression and online expression from those who are not members of staff do not fall under the scope of this policy. This type of policy is common practice for employees in the public sector. Staff recommend that council committee recommend to council approval of the new personnel policy as presented.
Thank you, Kelly. Somebody willing to put a motion on the floor? Councillor Weatherby, please.
I move that council committee recommends to council that the new personal use of social media personnel policy be approved as presented.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Richardson. Are any questions, comments to Kelly or Councillor Patton, please?
Hi, Kelly. Thank you for that. Could this not be embedded in a policy that we may have for new hires, an HR policy even, put a specific piece rather than creating a whole new policy just around this one topic?
It's possible. When we began writing the policy, we realized that it was so extensive and so long, there was so much content to be covered that it may be best to make its own policy rather than being such a dominant section in another policy.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. You do, Dennis, please. My question is, where it says here, if an employee is found to have violated this policy, it could end up, you have anything from asked to delete the content to dismissal. Do we need anything more in a manner of how to move from one to the other sort of thing. It seems to be pretty broad range.
Dennis, please.
Thank you, through you, Deputy. This would be managed in the context of other progressive discipline policies that you have in place. Okay. So, coaching, verbal warnings, level 1, level 2, level 3 warnings.
That's great.
So there are other policies that would help inform how this would be managed.
Okay, so as long as that's the case, okay, thank you.
Counselor Johnson, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm okay with this policy, but I have a question. Who wants to answer? Maybe Dan or maybe Dennis or maybe Kelly, I don't know, but I'm okay with one for employees, but do we have anything to do with counselors ourselves and where we fit in this whole picture with the social media policy?
There is an existing, there's not much, but there is existing language in the communications policy, which council approved in January 24. It's under section 10 of that policy. And it just reminds, a few sections under there, but it refers counselors back. And of course, counselors are in a different position than employees simply because of the nature of their office. But it starts by saying in all communications from members of council, including the use of social media, the following shall be considered: obligations under the council's code of conduct, obligations under FOIPOP, freedom of information and protection of privacy legislation, accuracy of information provided, communicate if the communication could bring about disrepute to or expose the municipality to legal action, whether the subject or position on a matter is enabled or prohibited by a law or bylaw or policy of the municipality, whether the communication reflects the values of the municipality, and whether council has taken a particular position by way of a motion on the topic. So the policy that deals with all communications, but specifically says including the use of social media. And then it says in any communication, individual members are encouraged to reflect position of council or state that they are providing a personal opinion. There's a disclaimer offered, suggested disclaimer offered as a possibility if that's used. And then if you're conducting committee business and you're serving as chair, then you're bound by the decisions of the committee, and then some other unrelated pieces. So that's the direction under your communications policy for communications generally, but also social media.
So that was updated, you said, Dennis, in 24?
Yeah, this whole policy was introduced, adopted by council in January 2024. That's a part of it. There's other sections relating to employee and public communication with employees, but that's in the policy under section 10 dealing communications from members of council.
So you don't see any reason why we should update it? It's probably fine the way it is, or do you think we should relook it?
I haven't seen too many. I haven't gone looking for social media on a counselor side, but I do think it informs the code of conduct. Also, it's not spelled out here, but the code of conduct informs it. FOIPOP informs it. I think it's a reminder of these things that inform their obligation. Of course, the MGA doesn't have a lot of Deputy Mayor, through you, it doesn't have a lot of guidance on for what counselors can say, and it's intended it to be quite broad because of the elected nature of the office. So I think this is enough of. I think this is a good marker to remind people, and I don't know if you want to get more detailed for the elected role and given the intent of the political speech that comes with council positions.
Thanks, Dennis.
Counselor Martell, please.
Thank you through the chair to Kelly. So when I'm reading through this policy, there are a few things that kind of stand out to me. Number 10 in particular, referring to employees shall not interact from personal social media accounts with municipal social media posts, except to repost information about municipal services, events, or job opportunities. So I think sometimes we think about these policies, which I fully support having a social media policy, as the negative, but I also don't want us to cut out an opportunity to share some of the positives because, you know, I see that as if there's a job post and one of our employees shares it on their social media and says, this is a great place to work. You know, I think that having that as a punishable offense within this policy actually will take away from celebrating our employees, making sure that their opinions matter with the many good things that happen. If there's an event that they're sharing, we're so excited to see you. Come join us, come to our flag raisings, like having an avenue for our employees to also celebrate the very good things that happen in our community. So I feel that there's a little bit of an overreach with that. When we're naming the different types of social media in particular, when we're looking at blogs and web forums, we're looking at Wikipedia, you know, to stifle the opinions, which I deeply value, people being able to express themselves in respectful ways. I do think that perhaps it should be adjusted a little bit. That's not quite as far reaching through the lens of this giving employees the opportunity to also share the good.
Would you like to respond to that, Kelly?
Yes. I have similar concerns in mind while writing the policy, tried to capture some of what you're referring to in number 10, in the last part of the phrase by listing municipal services, events, or job opportunities can be shared. I recognize that may not capture everything, that could be shared in a positive light. I was aiming to be as specific as possible, because when you say respectful, sometimes that can be interpreted in different ways and it can be subjective and it can just be difficult to have these conversations with employees, say in a discipline setting, and they're interpreting it very differently than how I'm interpreting it. So being specific was the goal of listing the different websites and listing where things can be, or what things can be reposted. So it was a balance for sure, and maybe we didn't quite find that balance yet, but that was the goal, to find the balance while also being as specific as possible.
Yeah, and in reading the interpretation of number 10 myself is that they shall not interact with, so they may be able to share them, but not even being able to add a personal comment about the good things would put them potentially with this policy as it's written in a position that would face discipline.
Thank you. Any other questions for Kelly? Or anybody else? I have a motion on the floor. You ready for the question? This is going up on our screen for our clickers. Voting is open. Let's vote now. Closed. Motion carries with 3 days. Thank you very much, Kelly. Our next item is number 6. I am responding, request from Colchester Firefighters Association. I believe there's a few members around the table that would like to recuse themselves. Councillor Fletcher, Councillor Richardson, Councillor Leggett. And our Dave Westlake will walk us through this one, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This item is being brought forward based on correspondence that was received from the Colchester Firefighters Association on March 19th of this year, with the Colchester Firefighters Association asking for the municipality to cover the costs associated with the I Am Responding program and smartphone application contract with the CFFA Fire Services, or Colchester, my apologies, the Colchester Firefighters Association. This software has been used since 2013 with all the fire services in Colchester County. And it is currently supported and utilized by our dispatch contractor and has been right from the start. It's a widely used tool that primarily uses emergency notification response tracking for the fire services, and the smartphone application receives a certain type of notification, a push notification on incident mapping and tracking of the firefighter's smartphone. It is a software base that also allows them to track their man hours, equipment, expiration dates, and a variety of other different data to be tracked. The IM responding offers critical information in the initial moments to supplement the paging system. It has the ability to provide us with digital breadcrumbs that actually will come up for larger areas and locate different things much more effectively, and can even provide crash notification information as to what airbags and everything else have been deployed. The previous contract for the CFFA that they signed was 5 years ago, and the new contract was set to commence this February. The municipality, just for background, the municipality has covered all of the dispatch services. And as technology start to change with a lot of our digital applications, this information for dispatch. Currently, right now, pricing has been sought that you will see for a 3-year contract. These are in US dollars. Is about 8,851 per year. Or if you want to pay some money up front, it's the same price for those kind of things. A 5-year contract works out to be about $520 US for fire service for each year. The 5-year contract, we do have a little bit more savings, drops down a few $100s per year, and breaks down to about a savings of $475 per year, US dollars for each fire service. There's 3 different options that have been presented, and this does fall within our, it was not captured within the budget of this year, but it does fall within our strategic priorities under the community safety and for the community resilience pillar. The recommendation is to have council that the municipality will cover the cost of a 3-year annual subscription at $8,851 US dollars for IM responding software for the municipality's fire service.
Thank you, Dave. Councillor Patton, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm prepared to put a motion on the floor that council committee recommends to council that the municipality cover the costs of 3-year annual subscription of $8,851 US dollars to the IM responding software for the municipality's fire services.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Cooper. Is there any discussion on the motion? Question's been called. Tracy's going to put it up on the screen. Voting's open. It's closed. And it's unanimous for those of us around the table that all in favor and motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Our next item, number 7, is a streetlight request, Tatamagouche. And Michelle Boudreau will walk us through this, please.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair. The item before you relates to a streetlight request that came before council in February this year. That was a request from a resident to have a streetlight installed at Hatchery Settlement Road and Highway 6, and it was referred to staff for review. So to refresh council on our current streetlight policy, there are 3 conditions where a streetlight can be installed. One is in a sewer serviced area, and the costs are covered, and by default, we install them in sewer serviced areas, and the cost is covered by the urban rate for that taxation district. The second is under our local improvement bylaw. Communities can petition for streetlights on certain streets, and if the petition is successful, residents on that street benefiting from the light would pay for the cost of the light. And the third condition is, in the policy, is that if the light is at a critical intersection, public monument, or area of public interest, then council can elect to have a light installed and have it paid by the general tax rate. Staff did go out, reviewed the area. These two roads are provincial roads, however, we do know that the province does not install streetlights on rural roads, and so that's not an option to have them install it. Based on the fact that it is an intersection with a trunk highway, and based on the traffic there, staff did feel it warranted an installation under the condition 3 of a critical intersection, should council decide to make that a motion. So staff's recommendation is that we would install 2 lights at this location, one on either side of the intersection, and that under clause 3 of our streetlight policy, they would be funded by the general tax rate. Also, as part of this exercise, and these requests do come up from time to time and are referred to staff, the current policy is a bit vague in terms of what constitutes a critical intersection, and it would be easier for staff to interpret requests with more rigid wording around what is it that it's considered critical. So, for example, is there a decision that we deal with trunk highways? Is there a decision that we look at traffic counts, whatnot? So in tandem with dealing with this particular request this evening, staff are asking that council committee policy be reviewed and that we do come back to council with some suggested changes to make us easier to interpret and decipher and recommend. That's everything, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Michelle. Councillor Martell.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion and speak to it. I'd like to make a recommendation that council committee recommends to council that the installation of 2 streetlights at the intersection of Highway 6 with Catchery Settlement Road, Rockland Road, be funded by the general tax rate to be approved, and that staff be directed to review the streetlight policy and bring forward proposed updates for council's consideration.
Seconded by Councillor Patton, and you'd like to speak to this?
I would like to thank our staff for doing such a thorough review, and also to thank Imogene not for taking the time to write the letter. And in a situation like this, and speaking specifically for that intersection, in our region, we continue to see an increase of development outside the village core. We are very limited by the sewer and the water connections, so we are seeing development on the periphery of that. And as we continue to grow, I'm pleased to see that we could potentially look at our policy and make it better as we look at how our communities can expand. That intersection is the access point to our Nelson's Park, which sees hundreds, if not thousands, of visitors every summer. It's also the access point to the community's off-leash dog park, which is well used. It's an access point to the Tatamagouche Center, where when it's in high swing, we see thousands of people coming to the conferences in that area. We also have one of our 2 main service stations located very close to that intersection, where there is a lot of traffic and a lot of truck traffic coming and going. And we recently had 2 new buildings that are offering 22 new housing units specifically close to that intersection. And it would mean a lot to that community to feel a sense of safety to have those lights in place.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I go to you, to Michelle, please. So Michelle, is there any history on file of traumatic accidents that have happened there or anything like that?
Through the chair in this case, no, we didn't contact RCMP about accidents. We felt that the illumination of the intersection and the fact that it was on a trunk was enough to warrant installation. That being said, we'd like to incorporate that going forward into the policies to include feedback from the RCMP and accident history for certain intersections.
Great. Reason I ask is we had in my district, there was a intersection, Digdon's Corner intersection, that had severe traumatic accidents that happened there over the years. And finally, with death involved, the community really rose up and did a very strong push for it, with support of the municipal support and with provincial support. They finally end up getting actually a streetlight there for that intersection. It reminds me a lot like this one, where it's two roads coming together and it's all put in quite a bit of wood and everything like that, that made it hard to see the stop signs as you came to them, sort of thing. So, yeah, I would have sooner had the street light put in by the province for this one, I think, but what we got to go with what we can get, I guess. So I'll fully support this.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions, comments? Ready for the question? Ready for the vote? Okay. Vote is open. It's closed. So unanimous in favor. Thank you, everyone. Paul is making his way to the microphone. The next item is the Citizen Monitoring Committee Terms of Reference for the wind power project. Paul, our Director of Community Development, please.
All right, thank you.
Is your mic on? There you go.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. As many of you probably know, when we have a wind energy project in the developing stages, council has a policy to establish a citizen monitoring committee, and the purpose of that committee is really to be a liaison, a go-between between the developer of the project and the citizens in the area who may be impacted by that. And council's had this requirement in place since 2013. I think the only one that was constituted was in the Harmony area, where there were a couple of turbines installed. So the purpose of this action item really is to ask for council's approval to amend the terms of reference for the Citizen Monitoring Committee, due to the fact that we have a couple of projects coming on stream. And while they are different in name, but materially the same, staff think it makes sense to form a committee that would sort of oversee the two projects, namely the Windy Ridge and Conduct projects that would extend from Folly Lake through to Earltown. And while they are different projects, they span a similar geographic area. Both are owned by the same operator, and it would make sense in these cases, in such a case, to have one CMC to sort of guide the project rather than having two, because those that are affected are namely the same. So in order to do that, changes need to be made to the terms of reference, which requires council's approval. And those changes are attached to the back of the action item. They have been vetted through legal team, and changes are sort of consistent with what we think or what we hope to accomplish by doing this. So we have two options. One, recommend the council to approve the proposed amendments to the terms of reference for the Citizen Monitoring Committee for wind power projects, or to sort of decline approving it and using the document that we have, meaning that which would require two citizen monitoring committees to sort of oversee both of those. Staff recommend that that the changes be made so that we can sort of deal with it, this one particularly as a complete project.
Thank you, Paul. Counselor Patton, please.
Thank you, Chair. Put a motion on the floor that council committee recommends to council that the proposed terms of reference for the citizen monitoring committee for wind power projects be adopted as presented.
Thank you. Seconded by Counselor Richardson. Any questions, concerns for Director of Community Development? No?
Call for the question.
Question's been called. Please vote now. It's unanimous in favor. Very much, Paul. The motion carries. Next item is council travelers insurance policy. Scott? Can you address this, please?
Deputy Mayor, and good evening, council. Thought that it might be a good idea to take this back to the council for consideration. Back in 2015, at the time, council had directed us to secure a travel insurance policy for council, and we've had one in place since then. It's not a lot of money. It is $1,000. It has been $1,000 a year, and I think it's going up this year 12%. So it's going to be increasing this year, but it had stayed flat for the duration of the policy. That being said, really doesn't see a lot of use. There isn't a significant amount of international travel where that would be applied, and in those cases, there are options as well to secure insurance on a per trip basis rather than have the blanket coverage. So I kind of wanted to take it back and see if it was something council wanted to maintain, or if they felt that wasn't necessary. I did put in the item an overview of what the coverage is for the policy. And I do mention as well, there is exclusion with respect to travelers 80 years and older. So they are excluded from the policy. So in terms of direction on it, you know, council could maintain the policy and renew annually. It renews in May, or you could decide not to maintain the policy. And in that case, if there was, you know, international travel, which we don't see a lot of, you could look at securing insurance for those trips. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Scott. Counselor Cooper, please.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Paul.
Are you prepared to put a
Scott,
motion?
please.
Can you put a motion on the
Oh,
floor,
okay, I can do
perhaps?
that. I would move the council committee recommends to council that policy number 1 RC25 business account program, business accident program provided by Beneva be canceled.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Counselor Patton. Go ahead.
Okay, I may not agree with this, but I had a couple of questions like that you just caught. So my first question is, how much does it cost to get per incident, per trip?
Well, that would depend. It would probably come down to you know, who was being insured and what the parameters are around the insurance. I couldn't tell you exactly what the individual would be billable. It would depend on.
It'd usually be quite a bit more to do it on a per trip basis and do it on like policy.
It could be. Yeah, it could be. I mean, depending on, I guess it would depend too on how often the travel takes place too, right?
Yeah, we have had some, and,
Yeah,
I guess, my other question is, we've had staff go on international travel. They cover underneath this too?
no, this was just for council. It was a policy that was just put in place at the time to cover,
So are
Council
staff
members.
covered by trip policy?
staff have their own, yeah, coverage through, their medical, dental insurance.
Also, you covered that way?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I would like to know how much it is, because I don't know if we're planning to do any more, but we have relationships with other parts of the world, things like that, we've
Yeah.
done things with, and yeah, how hard would it be to purchase a policy if we wanted to have one in the future? Is it,
To purchase this policy?
yeah. is it
I mean,
really
you
something-
could always reinstate it if you wanted to at some point, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, it's just a policy that automatically renewed
Oh, yeah.
since we put it in place, and, I thought it might be a good idea to take it and see if council wanted to maintain it or not.
Yeah.
It's
Well, as long
not,
as we can get one back, roughly the same price and things.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess we don't have anything planned now, so, that I know of, so.
no, it hasn't really. There hasn't really been a lot of, I think if we were to look at the amount of international travel that we've done over the period that policy's been in place, we probably paid more for this policy than we would to insure the individuals that travel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Ready for the vote? Paul? Open, please vote now. It's unanimous, the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Scott, for bringing that up. And our next item, number 10, is Ice Pond Drive, a request for speed bumps. And Councillor Johnson, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anybody who's been around the table for the last 3 or 4 or 5 years know that I've been on my radar for a while for paving, and over the course of time between Minister Ritchie and myself, we've worked with not only the Ice Pond residents, but Deerview, Spruce, Fir, Evergreen, because obviously that's commuter street that's heavily involved in that district. So since Ice Pond is going to be paved this year, I think now's the time to bring up about speed control on that street. So it's always been an issue, speed control anyway, and we haven't gotten our mobile boards there yet, but it is one of the streets I think that's for that. So I did a little research on it. I've also reached out to a few residents and asked them what they thought. From the residents I spoke to that live on Ice Pond or Deerview, where there's no shoulders on that road to begin with, plus no sidewalks, where when you go up a little further in the subdivision, whether you go to Birch or whether you go to Fir, or whether you go to Evergreen, they're all sidewalks. So safety is an issue on Ice Pond more so than any other street in that subdivision, especially where it's a commuter street that connects on to East Prince. So one of the residents reached out to me with this, and here's what they sent. HRM already has a program set up with a road safety program. It's called Streets and Sidewalks, and they call it traffic calming. And I didn't know anything about it until earlier today, but I went down through it. And I think it's something I'd like to direct staff to have a look at. And I'm just going to highlight on some of the things. And it's something that's an online program. You can check and see if your street is down for this traffic calming survey, or you're going to get set up for traffic calming. And really what it's about, it talks about, and I did some snooping around Halifax for the last few weeks. And if you go to different subdivisions, you'll see different types of traffic calming in the area, size of speed bumps, as we call them. So the first one is a speed table, and I encountered one of these down in Middle Sackville last weekend. I couldn't believe how long, 7 meters long. It's not that high, but it's 7 meters long, and it would be in a subdivision street. And they're every, they don't put them in front of driveways, they don't put them on crest of hills, but they put them in, areas that will slow people down. So they're called speed tables, and really it's something that is 7 meters as opposed to anything else. And really what it says, a speed table is a raised area of roadway, which causes a vertical upward movement of traveling vehicles. Speed tables encourage slower speeds of travel by causing discomfort for drivers traveling at a higher rate of speed. Speed tables are like speed bumps with a longer flat top section that can be installed on transit routes and is easier for emergency vehicles to traverse. There is no negative effect on cyclists riding at moderate speeds, and there's no effect on residents' access or in street parking also. Speed tables are constructed with gradual tapers that are installed across the roadway, leaving space for drainage where necessary. And it talks about the size. Site conditions must be carefully reviewed, and that's something our staff would do to see if it would actually fit. So that's the one thing about speed tables, but speed humps, and I've seen these down in Fall River, they're the same thing as the other, but it's a 4 meter long as opposed to 7 meters long. So it doesn't say a lot of difference, but it's a raised area again, and they're 4 meters long, and it really talks about cyclists and plowing and that type of thing. And the last one, and I think most of us have seen these, are called speed cushions. Cushions are the ones where like 3 pillows set up across, but they're independent of each other, and they have gaps in between them. So if you had a police vehicle or an emergency vehicle, like a truck, you could actually swerve, drive through the flat area. But if you're driving straight on normal course, you're going to drive over the hump. So it's just the way that they're broken up. So when you look at it, it says, how should I drive or cycle on a street with a street cushion? It tells you why it's set up and why it's set up the way it is. But what I liked about it is it tells you at the bottom of it here, what streets are appropriate for traffic calming. And it says streets that are in a residential area that are classified as local or minor collector are most appropriate for abrupt physical traffic calming measures. These streets place equal importance on vehicle movement and property access. Local and minor collector streets have better opportunity for neighborhood traffic improvements without adversely impacting operation of the function of the street. Then it goes on to talk about how the streets are evaluated, how the measures are chosen and what they're going to put on each one. Will my street receive traffic calming? And they can jump online and look and see if it was down. Tells you how do you request it. It says, why was my street selected for traffic calming? Why wasn't my street not selected for traffic calming? And what does the traffic calming status mean? And it also goes on and talks about when they do the risk assessment and they're looking at traffic speeds, and they talk about snow clearing, because obviously snow clearing in the wintertime is part of this thing, and that's why some are 4 meters as opposed to 7 meters. Just the basic old speed bumps that you see, they're probably 1.5 feet that get ripped off when they do. But this is something that I would like to direct the staff and let staff have a look at number of maybe 2 motions here. But one would be, first of all, before the street is paved, I'd like staff to reach out to our DOT or TIR, where you want to call, and see if they will have a look at the street and have speed bumps put on the street and see what they say. But I'd like to write a letter to do that from us to them. So that's the first motion I'll put on the floor, is that we direct staff to write a letter to our local TIR and see if they would look at Ice Pond Drive and implement speed bumps when it gets paved later on this year.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that motion? Seconded by Councillor Kennedy. You're finished with your remarks?
I am for
All right, Councillor Benoit, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Johnson, for bringing this up. I think we all probably have an area, at least one in our district, that people complain about with speeding. I would also ask, if possible, I know that I'd like to ask that maybe we as a municipality could maybe look at something like this for our roads. I have one subdivision that has been an ongoing issue. It's not changing no matter how many posts are put out there for people to watch. There's a lot of kids in this subdivision that, especially with the nice weather, they fly right by the stop signs. They don't stop on their bikes. They're just enjoying life. And I'm shocked that it hasn't happened, but I hope that something serious doesn't happen before something gets done. But I would love to see some of these other options. I know speed bumps have been said that that's not something we typically put on municipal roads, and I could understand the reasoning, but there is some safety concerns, and maybe these speed cushions or speed tables, I just quickly looked it up. Maybe one of those might be another option that we could look at, but if we could maybe also include municipal roads, I'd appreciate that as well.
Would you like to make a motion specifically to exploring other options for municipally owned roads in terms of traffic calming, or do you want to tag it on?
Yeah, if I can even tag it on, if Councillor Johnson's fine with that.
If I may, Deputy, I was gonna make 2 motions, and that was gonna be the second motion in terms
okay.
of staff.
Oh, can you hold that thought? Okay. Counselor Patton, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just a question for Councillor Johnson. The material used, are they rubber that you're referring to, the ones, or are these pavement?
Asphalt.
They are, okay. And 7 or 4 meters, why would there be two different?
It's up to the Department of Transport, decide the speed of the traffic to give them a little more advance to slow them down.
Yeah.
Doesn't say, but that's why staff would have a look at it. I want to send this to staff when we're done and see if they come up with something.
Thank you.
Counselor Martell.
Thank you. Through the chair, I would like to see the motion put up on the screen so that we can see it in the case that this is put on the agenda, but we're not provided with any written background. Really, you know, I know Councillor Johnson had mentioned that for those that have been around the table for 4 to 5 years, they might have a little bit more background, but some of us are still new. So I'd appreciate it if the motion could go on so we can consider that. And my second question, I would through you to Michelle, do we currently have any policy on speed calming tactics for the municipality? Who pays for it, or when they would come into use? Is there anything in our policies already?
Michelle, please.
Through the chair, we do not currently have specifications for street calming specs. Of course, we would only have the authority to apply them on county roads. I will mention to council, I did reach out to Chris, manager, about speed bumps, and he said no. Write a letter, but just be asking the same question.
Speed bumps for that
Iceland.
particular, yeah, okay. Yeah. And that was a no?
Correct.
Counselor Cooper.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I go visit my sister in Fall River, as Councilor Johnson alluded to. She lives on one of those streets. And the thing I noticed about it is, even though they're marked, it's easy to almost come on them and, you know, they're there right you're into it sort of thing. So if they're gonna be used, there should be better marked than they are now in HRM. I'd certainly say that.
Did you slow down?
Was that?
Did you slow down?
After I got there, yeah. Yeah, knew after
Halfway
that.
through.
Yeah.
When I got on top of it.
Yeah. So, yeah, they did what it was supposed to do. It slowed me down. You know, I wasn't paying any attention.
Yes.
And it's one of those long uphill subdivisions sort of thing, all kinds of roads going on to it. Sort of thing. So that's why they picked it, I guess. Sort of thing. So probably in the right places and on the right way. It's not a bad area, but thinking we want to have this, probably gonna have to have a policy in place for ourselves and then talk to DOT or TIR, or probably works through whoever it is into going along with it. So anyway, thanks.
Thank you. Counselor Johnson.
So, thank you. So 2 things. The reason I want it in a letter is that it's easy to ask for it, but later on, once this road's paved and someone comes back and say, why didn't you put speed bumps on the time? Well, I asked for it. Well, I want something on the record that we sent Mr. Verge and let him say no and write it back to us, as opposed to just say no to Director of Public Works. Say, not that I don't trust him, but I see these everywhere else. I don't see why they can't go here. And going to what Councilor Cooper said is that they put signs on both sides of the road on these bumps. So anybody could drive along, they've got signs that will tell you that you've got something there. You just don't drive on it, but there are signs there also. So I don't know if you noticed that or not, but.
Oh, I didn't notice.
So let's my
Show
point.
some on the road.
So this is all about timing for me, is that we know that the street's gonna be paved sometime this year. If I don't get a request in, you know, they may come back and say no, but I want to document it. I want on the record and say, you know what, we asked for it, the residents asked for it. They said no, who are they gonna blame? Well, blame the province or blame Chris Burge. But I want to look at it and see where it goes.
You could maybe even call it a pilot project.
Maybe.
Thank you. Counselor Leggett.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Councillor Johnson, are you already talking about provincially owned roads and there's a motion?
I only made a motion about sending a letter off to request for Ice Pond Drive. I'm gonna make a second motion here and then send it to staff.
Okay, so maybe in the second motion, I'll just throw it out for conjecture. Like I live on the Valley Bypass, Coldstream to Heavy Place, 2-kilometer racetrack. Goes to College Road to Salmon River Road. And it could certainly use it. There's some kind of calming application in the middle of it all. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Pat.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just looking at Councillor Benoit's screen here, and what she has up are rubber. And they look like they're bolted down, would you say? What's that? Anyway, doesn't matter. If the county decided to buy a supply of these for some specific roads that we would like to see them installed on, what type of permission do we need from the province? Do we
Michelle?
need permission if we're?
Yes.
Thanks.
Not our, Counselor Cooper?
Just to reply to that, one down my sister's road, it's not, certainly not rubber, it's building the road, it's part of the road surface. I think.
Counselor Martell?
I would like to ask again if the motion that we are discussing and debating could be put on the screen for everyone to see during this debate.
Yep. Are we ready for the questions?
Question.
Oh, Counselor Fletcher.
I think I'll recuse.
Okay. We noted that Counselor Fletcher has recused herself from this vote. So as you can see, it's a recommendation to council that a letter be sent to Nova Scotia Public Works Area Manager Chris Verge requesting speed bumps on Ice Pond Drive during the paving of that road this year. Are you ready for the vote? Do you need more time? You ready? Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah. Okay, vote is open. Please vote. It's closed. And we have 10 in favor, one nay, so the motion has carried. Thank you. And Councillor Johnson, you wanted to follow up with it?
Yeah, I mean, this can be amended as we go here, but I'd like to send out this information, send it to staff, let them have a look at it. There's I think it's 20-some pages here on traffic calming and HRM, and obviously they come up with this for a reason, but after traveling through, these communities, they've got them there, so I would make a motion that we send this whole speed bump traffic calming situation to staff to have a look at, not only for our roads, but maybe we can work jointly with the provincial roads in our county too. So if somebody wants to add something to it, they can certainly do that.
You want to send it to staff to
I want to explore
more details on
traffic
traffic
calming in our subdivision street and areas.
Is that okay? Do you understand what you're being asked to do? Yeah. So we need a seconder for that, seconded by Councillor Benoit. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Question's been called. Tracy, do you have that one up? We do. Vote is open. Please vote now. And it's unanimous in favor of the motion. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Next are our information items. We have an economic development report from our economic development officer, Jen Manton. Are there any comments, questions for Jen, or comments in general? It's being done. Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Chair. Jen, this is a fantastic report. I'm just wondering, is there an anticipated date for these signs in Devon?
Jen.
Have they?
Through the chair. So we were required to do archaeology testing. As I noted in my report, we received a report back from Debert Special Places Committee earlier this month. The first submission was not approved, unfortunately, so we're submitting a second submission. It's just technicalities of the report, so we're optimistic that next month we'll receive an approved report, but I don't want to guarantee a timeline. However, our signage company is ready to go as soon as we have a green light from the Special Places Committee.
Anything further for Jen or on this report? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Jen, very much for putting this together for our information. Next is the director's report, community development. Or any Comments, questions on the community development report? Busy department, like all the other departments in our municipality. I just had one comment or question to Paul. We had some vandalism at the washroom at the Fundy Discovery site. So we're paying for the fix up of that vandalism. Was there any opportunity to collect that money from other sources, like the vandals?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Yeah. Any other comments, questions of Paul? All right, well, thank you so much for that detailed report, Paul. And our next item is our closed session in camera, and be going in camera. So I'd look for a motion to go in camera, moved by Councillor Benlaw, seconded by Councillor Kennedy. All in favor, say aye. I'm reminded. Camera, we will be when we reconvene in about 10 minutes.